Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy. The following content may involve explicit language and materials, so listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back. I'm super excited because you guys rock. We started with Miss Liz from Ouch Was That a Ghost, and I felt that it was absolutely perfect to bring her in and have her on this one because, real quick to get it out of the way, again, check out the shop if you guys wouldn't mind. In the description, there's a link. Everything is buy one, get one 10% off. That's in the Squarespace store. And that includes everything. So all the items are on there. And then all the items also, when you get on there, you can select a different amount. And then once June runs out, the options are still going to be there. It's just going to be a different charity every month. I'm just going to leave the options out there just so everybody has it. I also made some koozies because I was like, well, what if somebody has an event and they want to have something to hand out at the event? They can have something that fits. So I try to give a little bit of options on there. So it's pretty much koozies and t-shirts for that, but everything else is on there. Okay. Another thing actually was I talked to a local business here and we talked about doing an event, but I wanted to kind of get a feel for who may or may not be interested. It's a tattoo shop, potentially just to scope it out. I ended up being there for like 45 minutes talking. We thought about doing something where I could maybe set up and do a live episode on like a Friday the 13th and they would do Friday the 13th type tattoos that day. We also talked about maybe doing a live show and doing either like a Bigfoot tattoo or maybe a discount or something. There's just something that we can work with to kind of see who would or would not show up. So if you guys are interested in that, send it in the email, send it on the contact form on the website. Again, all those links are in the description. So just go check it out and let me know. And then if we have enough people willing to do so, then we can move forward with the next steps. So, P.S. That tattoo shop is in Spencer, Indiana, so you know how far you have to drive. Okay. Almost forgot that part, but it's a little important for them to know where they're at, right? Any hoozles. So, the reason we're here is because I finally think I have enough to do our very first listener episode. With the stuff that people have turned in, I'm going to be reading those off exactly how I got them. So if I stumble or I look a little confused or I pronounce something wrong, I apologize, but I'm just doing my best to read it exactly because to me, if you guys take the time to type it up and send it in to me, I want to make sure that I read it exactly and I don't want to fuck anything up if I can avoid it. So we're going to go through that. So again, everybody who did submit encounters and experiences, huge thank you because I love hearing them and I'm hoping that everybody else enjoys hearing them. And maybe the people that turn them in will hear them. And then I just always think that's cool to hear your stories. I've done that with Beyond the Shadows with Scott and Ryan. I had to think of Scott and the other guy. Sorry, other guy. I'm Scott's number one fan. That's what I tell him. But I do my campfire story. And I just like listening whenever I'm like, oh, that's me. Like I'm on there. I know what's going on. So I just wanted to make sure that I took the time to let everybody know. Melissa, before we start, is there anything you got going on or you want to elaborate on or anything?
No, I'm excited to hear the listener stories. That's been my favorite episode to do. I did one with Mike, actually 2 with Mike so far. And
is Mike
it's the best.
Officially a solid every weeker? Is he officially a co-host?
He is, but he's like a every other weekish. I drag him in. He's my brother. I bring him in whenever I want.
That's cool. I always been fascinated with like the family duos. You have, Sam and Tracy from the Suspended Sentence, and it's, mom and daughter. And then, oh my gosh, I just totally blanked their names. And I just recorded something for them specifically because they did their 100th episode. It's Brutal, Bizarre, and Boozy. I probably mix those up. It's just like the Taverns, Trails, and Tales, or I always get them. I just call them Triple T and the Triple B's. So, but yeah, and it's a mom and son. My family's huge, and we always are constantly seeing each other, and so I just kind of like those little duos.
That's a mom and son one. I love that. I
I
wish my
know.
kids would ever want to get on with me. They won't even
Mine
listen to
doesn't.
me.
Well, I won't let mine. But I'm fairly certain unless I'm confusing them with somebody else. If it was my family, there would probably be a lot more bickering than I hear on these other podcasts with family members.
They probably edit that out.
My
probably
recording
still
would be like
happens.
3 hours long, but after editing all that out, it'd be like 40 minutes. That being said, I do want to let everybody know the names that I was given. If the person did not specify that I could say their name, I changed it anyway because I just better safe than sorry. There was one person that was cool with their name, but I think everybody else, I made up some funny names. For instance, this first one is.
So guess the fake ones.
Because this guy's name is Chris P. Bacon.
Okay. Sounds like one of those Homer Simpson calls to Moe's Tavern.
So, I was trying to come up with some, and I had some good ones, but I was like, I'll try not to be totally raunchy because who knows. All right, so some of them are very, very long also, so just so everybody knows, all encounters and experiences are welcome here. And this is Crispy Bacon. And it says, my first encounter, I was waiting on the bus in middle school, and it was a full moon out, and I was looking at the moon when I heard a stick break, and I'm just going to read what it says. I'm sorry. Stick break, and I look and seen this wolf-like creature with bodybuilder muscles was running on all fours, and it was like I clocked onto it, and time slowed down, and I could see everything. Okay, so that just started off that escalated quickly. It's just like, boom. Right into it. I like it. Mm-hmm. I'm picturing like Arnold Schwarzenegger werewolf is what I'm getting here. Like, he's get to the chopper. Sorry, I can't help myself. Okay, so, that's interesting. Take that back about the werewolf thing. No hair on its legs or its side of its body, and the only hair was on the middle of its back and head, and was pure black. And when it was running, it was like it was jumping side by side while it ran.
So it was like Teen Wolf?
I don't know what Teen Wolf is. I'm horrible.
Michael J. Fox? You never saw that movie?
No.
When he turns into a werewolf?
Nope.
And plays basketball?
I was picturing some kind of like anime thing, like when it's running and all of a sudden it like glitches and it like shoots over and then it runs back, like Goku or something. Oh my God, I'm such a nerd. Mm-hmm. Any hoozles. I was frozen and tearing up, like, what am I seeing? There we go, sorry. And it went back inside. I could see everything but the eyes, but the outside light was on.
You could see everything but the eyes, but the outside light was on. Meaning that he has black eyes?
Or maybe, I wonder if it's something, so things that I have seen had no eyes.
What the fuck have you seen with no eyes?
Really? Oh my gosh, girl. Oh man, I'm using my phone to read.
I thought you were going to show me a picture of something you saw. I was like, I don't want to see it.
I drew something to make it as close as I could.
You just see no-eyed beings in your dreams? Or when you're awake? Or what? That almost looks like the Fresno Nightcrawler, but with one leg.
It was like a person, like a thing sitting like in a chair next to me. That's why it looks like that.
You just looked over and saw it?
Yeah.
In your studio?
No, that was in my car.
And you were just fine with it?
When I was 15. Well, yeah, I didn't know what the heck was going on. I was a little shocked. But I was picturing something like this.
Ah, like a black-eyed children looking thing?
And so maybe that's what it is. You could see everything but the eyes. I don't know. Maybe it was turned funny. I don't know. I don't know. We'll just keep going. It was okay, that's what I was going to tell everybody. I have not read these. I've read them, so I'm going in dry here. Just like you are. It was outside of Martinsville, Indiana on Mosier Road. I was born in Martinsville. Apparently there's wolves there. I'm glad I haven't been walking around the woods out there. And then it says, my father and me and my stepmom lived up on a hill in the woods, and I kept this secret for many years till I moved to Trafalgar, which you're welcome. I know I can say it right because I'm from here. Most people would probably, fuck it up, but I know what Trafalgar is. and they moved in 2013. In 2019 or 2020, I was in bed with my window open when I heard a loud roar and grunting coming from outside. And I jumped up and shut my window, and I was scared. Well, no shit. I would be scared too. Are you kidding me? I wonder if it doesn't specify. I wonder if it was like a first story room, second story room. I mean, if it was the second story, I'd be a little more concerned if I was hearing growling and stuff from the window.
And grunting?
I mean, what were your parents doing in the other room?
That's honestly where my mind was going, but I'm like, oh no, she's trying to be a little bit cleaner on here, so I'm not even going to say that.
Yeah, I would have probably shit my pants. All right, so 2020, I think on Halloween, I had my, I think it's curtain, not certain, open. And I saw a shadow going past my window with red glowing eyes. Ever since then, I don't even like going out at night. I thought I was safe, but I was wrong. And then he goes on to say Trafalgar, just so everybody knows, is a small farm town in central Indiana. Not as small as my town, but small. And that just, again, I would love to know where this room was. Because I've heard some stories and encounters and stuff where there's glowing eyes and noise and stuff on a second or third story house, like a third story, which either means one, the damn thing can float, or that thing is really big. I'm not sure which is worse.
I have no idea what that would be. Just a black figure with red eyes just floating by your window?
Well, I have heard different encounters with dogman. A lot of them say yellow eyes, some say orange, some say red. Yeah.
Orange?
Yeah, no, I don't hear.
What color?
Did I say it funny?
No, can you just say it one more time?
I don't even know how I did it.
Orange?
Orange?
It's perfect.
Is that wrong?
I say orange.
It's orange.
But
yeah.
when you say certain words, I love how you say orange. There's a few words that you say that like make it come out.
I forget vowels. Some vowels are invisible.
But I didn't know that they could float, the dogmen.
Well, that's what I'm saying is I don't think they can, but I'm just picturing if something's big enough that it can look through your window on a second story. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, what if the air conditioner, like it gets a little like 4-foot lift because the air conditioner's like by the window or something and it stands on it? Like, can you just picture this dog man like peeping, like standing on his back legs on an air conditioning unit? How would it not crush it? Anyway, beside the point.
He comes over, he brings his ladder, props it up against the house, crawls up.
He's got the boom box in the backyard. He's serenading the guy. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. Oh, so we have one little piece here left at the end. He says in 2022, I was coming back from the gas station. 2013, I found out about Dogman from an encounter on the radio, and it helped me not to think that I was crazy. I still haven't told my dad, and that first encounter is the main reason why I left Martinsville to begin with. I was told these werewolf-type creatures didn't exist, but they exist. In 2022, I was coming back from the gas station when I heard okay, that's an interesting way to describe it, a demonic elk call, and I slowly backed down the hill to get to my apartment, and that was another reason why I hate going out in the dark. I believe that the demonic elk call was a Wendigo.
Oh, a demonic elk call. I can't wrap my brain around that.
One, we don't have elk in Indiana. I've actually not heard any Wendigo stories from Indiana either. They're usually like in the colder, like Montana, I think, type areas in Canada. I don't know. I don't even know what an elk sounds like. What's an elk sound like? What does an elk say? You're welcome, people. But either way, I mean, anything screeching in the wood. And then it says like he's backing up. So I'm like, wait. I was coming back from the gas station.
Oh my gosh, have you done that? I always get those printouts of the dolls and put them on the back of the backup cameras for my
I would
coworkers.
kill you.
And when they're leaving, I did it to my boss once. He wanted to punch me in the face so
I am a
bad.
firm believer.
He screamed
Yeah, I'm a firm
like a
believer
girl.
in I won't prank you because I don't want pranked.
Oh, I don't mind it.
I retaliate with violence.
Oh,
And it's not like a prank you, prank me situation. It's a prank me, get your ass kicked or windows busted or something because I don't deal with that shit. I'd rather put laxatives in your coffee or give you like some small cyanide tablet or something.
oh wow.
I don't like people mess with my stuff. I am very territorial. Welcome to being second child syndrome of a lot of children. So, that being said, on that note, we're going on to our second listener story episode because I was at like 15 pages. So I had to take some stuff out because it was a little crazy.
Oh wow.
This is Doug, and I think it's Keeler, Kieler.
Oh, so it's a real person. It's not bacon anymore.
Hopefully, I did your name justice. I apologize if we'll just call him Dougie. It says, "Hi Natasha, I saw your post on Facebook and thought you might be interested in my experiences. I know this sounds super strange, but I believe I may be a reincarnated Apollo astronaut that was killed by aliens on the moon." But yeah, so that's a lot to chew on right there.
Yeah, I have no idea what to say to that. Go ahead.
We'll get a little more into it. And I've been having astronaut memories since I was a kid. And for over a decade, I've been having intense dreams. Below is an excerpt from my dream journal if you're interested. If not, I understand. A lot of people think I'm Looney Tunes because of this. LOL. Okay, again, all encounters and experiences are welcome. I love it because I'm not going to really call anybody, crazy or anything regardless, because like some of the stuff that I've seen and experienced, a lot of people would say was batshit crazy, but it happened. So I'm always open. This is a little different territory, but about 12 years ago, I began having vivid recurring nightmares of an Apollo astronaut being attacked and presumably killed by an unknown life form or entity. I know, quote unquote, he is an Apollo astronaut because in all of the dreams, he is wearing a gleaming white Apollo spacesuit, just like the ones the astronauts wore on the moon. Now, let's take a second. I'm sorry, Dougie. Alleged moon. You're welcome, Mark, from the Kryptonaut podcast. So there's a whole lot because there's a lot of people that don't even think that we went to the moon, let alone that they encountered anything when they were there, if they did get there. So this has a lot of, it could go a lot of ways. But we'll just keep on going. We'll just keep trucking. In the dreams, I'm often observing the horrific events, through the astronaut's eyes, basically from a first-person point of view. When the dreams are in first person, I'm looking through the glass visor of the space helmet. I can see the white space gloves on my hands, quote unquote, my hands, and I can look down and see my legs and space boots. Okay, that would be pretty freaking sweet. I want to wear a spacesuit. What is particularly strange about the first-person dreams is that I can still remember what it feels like to wear an Apollo spacesuit, like the one I'm wearing in the nightmares. The suit is made of a soft, bright white nylon fabric that has an American flag sewn neatly into the left shoulder, and there is a circular blue NASA patch sewn onto the chest.
See, I would love to believe these, but that could easily be a memory that you fall asleep, you know what a uniform looks like, and that's it. So I'm trying to be open-minded. That's why I'm just being quiet and just listening and waiting.
I get it. Okay, let's see if I can do my best to explain this. I have a lot of vivid dreams too, but when I have a dream that ends up happening, it feels different in the dream. Like, in the dream that, oh shit, I better pay attention because this is going to happen. It is it's not just like an IMAX theater 3D type of thing. It's all of the senses You can smell things. You can feel the fabric. You can hear the sounds. Like, you can do everything. It's literally like you are in this person's body. It is really weird. I'm just going on a limb and assuming that that's what he's talking about. I could be wrong, but if it is the same type of thing, there really is a difference. And the first time it happens to you, you're kind of like that was really weird. Like, what the heck was going on? What is that? And then whatever you're dreaming happens. And then you're like, wait a minute. And then it happens again. And then you're like, by the third time, you're like, okay, now I know that feeling is associated with it's going to happen, as opposed to just a really vivid nightmare that, thank God, won't happen.
I'm not discounting it. It's just such an abstract idea to me as someone who has never experienced it.
As far as I know, I think I've only met like one person that knows what I'm talking about. It really is hard to explain. It's kind of like if you were asked somebody, what does sand feel like? Because it's really hard to explain it unless you show them. You know what I mean? If that helps, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, sorry, getting back. All right. So even though the spacesuit is bulky, it is comfortable to wear and sort of feels like you're in a sleeping bag, if that makes sense. Okay, so kind of. The nylon fabric makes a subtle swishing sound when I move around in the suit, and I can hear oxygen gently hissing through the air hoses. Okay, so he's explaining exactly what I was just telling you. Other times, I am watching the dream unfold from a third-person point of view, and that's where things get interesting. From this vantage point, I witness the horrified astronaut become the mysterious creature's prey. Most importantly, in third person, I can see the astronaut's terrified face through the visor of his helmet, and I can tell it isn't my face, even though I'm seeing things through the eyes as if I'm... Okay. I can tell it isn't my face, even though I'm seeing things through his eyes when the dream is in first person. I 1,000,000% get that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So pretend you're... Now, with me, I'm not usually in a suit, so I'm not covered. So when I look down, I don't see all of these tattoos or anything like that. I'm seeing, like, for instance, my grandpa's arms and his hands and, like, his body. I see it even though I know that I'm me in his body. I'm looking, but when I look in the mirror, I don't see my face. I see his face looking back at me. Even though I'm viewing what's happening from his eyes, when I look, I don't see myself. I see him.
Yeah, so you're like in your grandfather's body.
Yep. Like almost like if you're operating a robot. If you're like in a robot and you go to a mirror, you're not going to see your face. You're going to see the robot.
Mm-hmm.
He is a thin, clean-shaven white male in his upper 20s or early 30s, and his face doesn't look like mine, though I'm able to recognize him if I saw a picture of him. Somehow I get the impression that the astronaut was a scientist of some sort, or maybe a spacecraft engineer. Okay, that's a badass title. I want to be a spacecraft engineer. The impression is in keeping with the fact that all of the Apollo voyages into space were peaceful scientific endeavors for the benefit of humanity. We're going to let that one sit. Insert crickets again, because we could go into a whole different thing there, but we don't need to get into that discussion right now. Another time. He says, I call the astronaut in my dreams Dustin, which is a name that I seemingly pulled out of thin air, but using a name helps me describe him in the dreams, which that makes sense. Perhaps I heard the astronaut's name in one of the dreams, but I don't actively remember hearing it. The nightmares alternate between first and third person randomly, and I have no control over it. That tracks for me. I get that. The first person perspectives are often the most frightening, but the third person views offer most of the clues, though I'm still completely clueless on what any of it really means. The third person view is also how I can tell that Dustin is wearing an Apollo A7L spacesuit, and I also get better glimpses of the alien creatures, although I never get to see its face. That's a lot. And that's just one.
And this is a trip to the moon, he said at the beginning?
Yeah. Okay. And so in the email, I'll go back, and if I can get the pictures over there, I'll try to post this to social media when this comes out, because he actually sent me a picture and was like, this guy right here in like a group photo. He's like, that's the one. That's the guy. Same listener, different encounter. Dustin's dead, I think, at the moment. We're going to shift gears. The shadow creature dream is the first recurring nightmare I began experiencing about 12 years ago. The dream starts with me laying on my back in a bulky white Apollo spacesuit. Okay, never mind. Dustin's not dead. We just resuscitated him. I'm Dustin, squirming and desperately trying to get up, but I can't. Something is pinning me down to the floor. I'm instantly horrified, but I don't know why. All I know is that no matter how hard I squirm, I can't get off my back. Oh my God, he's like a turtle. I can't tell exactly where I am, but it appears as if I'm in some sort of tunnel, hallway, or cave. Perhaps I'm in some sort of spacecraft or lunar crevice. Sorry, took me a second. I was like, cervix? That's not right. Lunar cervix. Oh my God. Score.
That might actually be a better way to describe it.
I don't know, and I never get to see any detail about where I am. Everything is gray or black except for my white spacesuit, and I have no idea why I'm on my back. I can think of a few reasons. Me too, dude. Me too. I don't know why I'm
trying to keep it clean because you said that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. There's a gray wall to my immediate left, and the shadow of a strange being appears, slowly coming towards me from down past my feet. Okay, that is not sounding fun. At first, the shadow starts on the ground, but it gradually rises up the wall as it moves closer to me. Instantly, my heart begins to race as I notice how black the shadow is. The shadow is so dark, it almost seems to absorb the light. Holy crap, dude. I know exactly what this guy is talking about. Okay, when I saw my demon that was next to me in the car, I just went over this with somebody on their episode, and I think it was Kevin, where the weird ones are, is when I talked about it. And it was, and I was the same way. I'm like, it was black, but like its eyes were even blacker than black, almost as if they were like black holes. It wasn't that they were just really dark colored. It was void of any light, almost like it was sucking stuff in. So I totally get that. I can see that the shadow is of an unknown creature, not a person, especially since the shadow does not resemble an astronaut or a person wearing a spacesuit. The shadow is humanoid-ish. I like that word. But definitely not human. And I don't see the actual creature, just the terrifying shadow of it. But how do we know that the shadow isn't the creature?
So is he
Riddle me that, Batman.
That it's like an alien-human hybrid?
From what I've gathered, either a hybrid or just an alien that is humanoid in features.
Oh, I thought you were going to use your word again, humanoid-ish.
Hey, he gets full credit. I didn't do that. Dougie did it. I don't know if he never saw a creature, maybe the shadow is the being or entity and not necessarily a shadow of something. Because that would make more sense if it's so dark that it seems like it's absorbing the light. You would need to be an entity probably or something to kind of conduct that feeling, as opposed to just like a shadow that would just be kind of, a shadow.
Alien shadow person. That would be horrible.
That is a good point.
It's probing him. That's why he's on his back and he can't even do anything about it because it's just a shadow. So what are you going to do? Kick a shadow?
I apologize for this. What's coming? I apologize ahead of time. Hold your ears. Pause it if there's anybody remotely young around. When you get probed in these abduction scenarios, how do they position you? Because it could either be tolerable or very painful depending on how you are. And a lot of people say they're like strapped down to like a table or something, which would make inserting something into your rump a little harder. No one, and I don't know if maybe just people don't want to admit that they like flip them over doggy style to like probe, or like, is it embarrassing? Like, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. Do they have space lube?
I have no answers for you.
Huh. So,
I don't know anything about alien abductions. Are they usually with their body parts or with something else that they're probed with?
I think it's usually a tool. I think.
So that might be easier to manipulate if the person is laying on their back, but probably not as comfortable.
Well, I know, but they still lube it up for a colonoscopy.
Maybe they have natural slime and they just rub it on their arm. I don't know.
Space herpes.
Space herpes.
Space gonorrhea. Oh, goodness. Galactic gonorrhea.
Great.
Oh, my
New
God.
t-shirt in the shop tonight.
That's exactly what I was thinking, but I don't know who would buy it. I'll design it just to post it. I probably won't make anything. If people want to buy Galactic Gonorrhea, let me know and I can make it a t-shirt. Back to the whole, okay, butt probing aside. All right. The shadow is now completely on the wall, approaching me, and I'm incredibly terrified. I'm helplessly flailing my arms and legs, trying to get up, but my efforts are futile. God, I can't say the word.
Futile.
It doesn't work. All right, he's flopping around like a fish. It's just not working. Although
he can't get out of the cosmic cervix.
This could be a shirt. This could be a shirt. Okay, in honor of Dougie, I will make a astronaut suit on his back, and it will say, "I've fallen and can't get up." Ha ha ha. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Man, we're getting all kinds of shirt ideas. Anyway. Oh, geez, I'm knocking stuff over here. To make matters worse, my space boots don't seem to have any traction on the slick surface that I'm on. As jet black shadow draws near, I can somehow feel the creature's intense presence, and I somehow sense that it's a male being. Oh, my... Whatever this dude's talking about, he's describing it in a lot of ways that I describe what I saw. Do they have ghosts in space? Can demons go to space?
I have no idea.
I mean, technically, if demons came from heaven and they were cast out, they could technically get maybe somewhat up there. I probably just pissed a lot of people off with that comment. All right. Anyway, moving on. I would describe it as a paranormal type of feeling. And in that moment, and also somehow knew that it was the one pinning me. Oh, geez. Pinning me down with a force he was in control of.
Pinning you down with the force. Oh, so it's like force that held him down?
It's not, I'm thinking not like I'm strangling you. Like, we're not Ted Bundy in it. It's like a wizard. Some kind of, use the force kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know shit about Star Wars, guys. Sorry. I love how I went with wizard instead of... Anyway, missed opportunity. But that's kind of what I'm feeling is he knows it's coming from the guy. Almost maybe like it's not paralyzing because he's flailing around, but it's using some kind of unseen force to hold him and pin him down, not physically grab him. The feeling this creature generated was dark, overwhelming, totally dominant, and I knew I was doomed. I was to be his astronaut prey, and that there was nothing I could do about it. He was in absolute control. As mysterious... Yeah, so I'm like, man, I'm going to start blushing. Whew. All right, it's getting hot in here. As mysteriously as the dream starts, it ends. I snap out of the dream just before I get to see the horrifying creature. The last thing I witness in the dream is the shadow completely over me, almost totally consuming me, or Dustin in the dream, with its darkness. As I wake up from my dream, my heart is always pounding, and sometimes I'm out of breath. I don't remember any sound in my dream, although I do remember just Dustin's terrified face, and he was definitely screaming. Eek. If this dream stems from something that really occurred, then I can only imagine this poor astronaut's final moments when the creature got him. I can't put into words how terrifying this dream is, and I know it pales in comparison to what Dustin actually experienced if it's real. Sometimes I wonder if the shadow creature, or if the shadow was the creature, maybe it was wearing some kind of predator-like camouflage, or maybe it's a paranormal being. I have no idea at this point. Fuck that. Space demons.
Well, they're like shadow demons. That's the worst.
They're space specters. God, I'm on fire tonight, guys. Woo! Just because of the way he describes it is so similar to how I would describe what I've seen. And that's what gets me. On one hand, if you think about what he's saying, it seems more outlandish than the previous encounter. However, I didn't have anything like that first one.
Douse it with holy water.
Who the hell's got holy water just floating around when they're 15 years old? What kind of kid are you? If you're walking around with holy water and you're 15, like, you've been through some shit. The fact that you even know what holy water can do at age 15, that's impressive.
Well, if I had a thing called My Demon sitting in cars with me, I'd start carrying holy water around.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Nope. I just was like, get out of here. And then went on about my business like it never happened. I'm horrible. All right. Now we're going to switch again. Again, same listener, Mr. Dougie. But we're switching, and he titled this one Examination Table.
Oh, no.
So maybe we'll find out the answer to our probing question. We'll probe into the answers. Oh, my. I think I need a drink or something. So he says, I consider this one to be memory recall instead of a dream. Okay, well, that already makes it scary as hell.
Okay, so he's just reliving something that happened to him. Okay.
Yes, which I think makes sense. We'll get it again. I haven't read this, so I'm thinking that once we get into it, I will totally know what he's saying. I was in my bed trying to sleep, but I was awake when the memory struck me. Also, it only lasted about 3 seconds, unlike the dreams, which tend to be about 2 minutes. Wait, so you're telling me this whole shadow shit went down, you're flopping around like a fish? That was only 2 minutes? That must be a long 2 minutes.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like...
He's a man. He's a man. Sorry, guys. Further, this entire memory recall was from a first-person perspective, and I was watching my fellow astronaut being sucked down to some kind of table.
Sucked down to some kind of table?
Yeah, I read that again. That's what it says.
So is that like maybe in a portal, and then he's just getting pulled down by that force to another table?
I was the first person. I was watching my fellow astronaut. Okay, multiple questions here. From space to a table, from your ship to a table, were you both in the room, and how did you get above the table? Okay, questions. Okay, we'll just move on because I can't really picture what's going on. Hopefully we get a little bit more here. The astronaut was also wearing a white Apollo spacesuit, but his face was different, so I could tell that the astronaut wasn't Dustin, but rather one of his fellow crew members. In the memory, the astronaut was desperately trying to get up off a strange table that he was sucked down onto somehow. He was in a total state of panic and was unable to free himself from the powerful, mysterious force generated by or near the table. The room was a foggy gray color, and the only details I can recall are of the astronauts and the table he was on. The table was about 3 to 4 inches thick and appeared to have dime-sized holes in it. Perhaps the powerful suction was coming from the holes in the table. It also appeared to be attached to the wall behind him, since there was nothing supporting the structure underneath the strange table.
So like a hockey table?
Oh, we come from 2 different worlds. Yes, I know what you're talking about. My brain went to like a grate, like a cheese grater.
Okay.
Or when you go, there's certain types of bleachers, or where you have the stairs and they have the holes in the stairs, the metal holes. But maybe I just pictured that because air hockey would make a lot of sense. Instead of blowing air, it sucks it in. It just would have to have bigger holes. But he says, too, that there's nothing supporting it underneath it. It doesn't specify if he's vertical or horizontal. Because if it's horizontal and it's sucking somebody down, there'd have to be something underneath the table to conduct the suction, right? But if it was vertical up against the wall, then it could, if there's nothing underneath holding it, that's cool, whatever. And maybe it's just like, like the ride you have at the fair that like spins you around and you're like stuck to the wall.
Oh, the Gravitron?
Yeah. Maybe that's it. So something like that. Also, too, if he got sucked onto the table, I wonder how he landed.
I was so picturing like people just laying flat horizontally, just being like moved down the spaceship hallway and then just being like sucked down onto the table, like almost laying them like on a hospital bed. Just because that's so stereotypical in any like alien movies, how they get transported down. True.
Like a tube, like you're at the bank and you send a little money through the bank.
Yeah, so the spaceship just has different hallways that you're going down,
But I don't think that makes sense. But that wouldn't account for one. If he's getting stuck that way, he's probably not wearing a spacesuit, right? If they've got a hold of him and they've got him in like this tube thing to like shoot him around the ship, he's probably naked.
Probably. I'm just because gravity doesn't really exist there. So
imagine you're in this big, bulky white spacesuit. Okay, Christian, you're not. You've got this thing in front of you, and it's wearing this big, bulky ass. Okay, think a toddler. You got a toddler in some fuzzy-footed pajamas with a zipper, and it's got buttons and the diaper, but it's stuck to a table with massive suction. Can you imagine trying to get that stupid onesie off? How hard that would be?
Yeah.
Probably the creepiest part of the memory recall was the drill noise I could hear in the background. I couldn't see what was producing the noise, but it sounded like a pneumatic drill that you hear at a dentist office. Okay, that doesn't bother me. I basically grew up in a dentist office, so those noises don't bother me.
Oh, I want to puke when I walk in there. Just the smell of a dentist office. And you know that thing they put in your mouth? They can never like do anything with my teeth. The thing to like keep your mouth open. I'm just like the whole time. I'm like the worst dentist patient in the world.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm just like, whatever.
Nope,
usually
I can't do it.
Like when they do my fillings and stuff, I don't usually even get numb. I just let them drill and do my fillings.
Nope, I'd rather get like major surgery than go to the dentist to get a cleaning.
I believe that the drill was about to be used on the spaceman being sucked down to the table. It was obvious that the horrifying drill sound was adding to the astronaut's terror. It was definitely adding to mine as well. And that's the end. So he has this memory recall. It's like, boom, guy stuck to the table. You hear the drill. You think they're going after your buddy. And then you wake up. That's concerning. I would love to see if he could somehow create a visual aid for what happened. Just to kind of get, like I said, it could be so different, vertical, horizontal. He's obviously, it says he's in his spacesuit, but then what are they going to use the drill on if they got to maybe to get through the spacesuit? Like, why not just pull the zipper? I don't know. I don't even know how you put I don't even know how you put a spacesuit on. I'm just assuming there's a zipper.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Wait, it'd have to zip in the front, right? Because what if you were like solo? You can't zip in the back.
Yeah.
Right?
It has to be some kind of special zipper, but I'm just thinking they can't allow any air to get in there whatsoever. So it has to be like a really tight fitting something or a zipper and then something goes on top to seal it.
What if there's a contraption in the spacesuit that acts, you push it to vacuum out the air to seal it?
Could be.
I
have no knowledge of this whatsoever.
Like when you're sucking the food in the plastic wrap.
The food saver thing that you put on to like suck the air out.
Yep. Yeah. Well, if that's the case, maybe can I get some leggings with some of that? I need to suck in some stuff here.
For real.
All right. So then this is, I believe, the last one I have here for the listeners. Okay. Listener encounter. Number 3.
Okay.
Serious bonheur.
Serious bonheur. Okay.
Get it? Please tell me you get it. You don't get it. It hasn't clicked on your face yet.
No.
Okay. Imagine you're doing it in a French accent. I don't even know how to do French accent. Sorry, but we'll just assume it's French.
Bonheur or bonheur? Like no L.
Like serious bonheur.
So a big skippy.
Get it? Serious boner. That's supposed to be serious boner. Please tell me. Okay.
Sorry. No, I was hearing bonheur, and I thought it was some kind of French word that I didn't know, and I'm like, okay.
I spelled it Boneire. I was trying to be French. Well, I think it's French.
Right,
who knows?
I'm blonde today. Don't worry about it.
All right. So this one says, I have a really cool story to share with you if you'd like to hear it. Well, of course we would. That's why you're here. It was from around 15 to 20 years ago when I was visiting my long-distance girlfriend in southern Colorado near New Mexico border in a town about 30 minutes from, oh dear God, south of Alamosa. Is that right? That sounds right. Sounds good. Colorado.
Can't pronounce anything.
I think CO is Colorado, right?
Yes.
God, people are probably screaming at me. I'm so sorry. Every other weekend, my dad would take me and my two best friends to our cabin in the San Luis Valley.
Sounds good.
Well, one of those nights, I had borrowed my dad's truck to drive to my girlfriend's place. Ooh, sneaky, sneaky. I had just got my driving permit and didn't really drive much while alone, especially out in the boonies where our cabin and my girlfriend's house was. It was around 7 p.m. or so when I went to her place down a dirt road way out in the middle of nowhere. And I spent a few hours there with her.
Well, he's a teenager, so.
Oh, yeah, true. Young, dumb, and full of, well, this was around fall/winter, so it was already dark by 7. And when I left her place, it was around 9 p.m. In this tiny town, there are no streetlights, there are no light poles or anything. Literally as country as you can get. That tracks. I've been to places like this. I've lived in places like this. Her house was around 10 minutes off the main road that ran through the town down a long, dark dirt road with very little houses on either side. It was one of those towns where the houses were separated by miles and sat on a lot of open pastures that were occupied by horses. Okay, similar to me, only we have cows and not horses. I was driving down the road heading back home when out of nowhere the horses bolted through the field and hopped the barbed wire fence that ran alongside the dirt road. Not just one, but 4 horses literally ran in front of the truck. I had not been on a dirt road, or had I not been on a dirt road and going faster, I would not have been able to stop on time. So I was lucky. They didn't move. They literally blocked the road and would not move an inch. Okay. So I'm telling you, these people, it's like people know. When I was a kid, I remember my mom driving us to school one morning. And we were running late per the norm. And my mom's hauling ass. And there is one stretch of road where it's miles before it's between the state park and any other house that you can get to. And there's a bunch of horses. And I don't know what happened, if a car wrecked or something, but somehow the horses got out and there were like 4 or 5 horses in the highway, like just standing in the middle of the highway. And we were stopped waiting for somebody to do something about the horses because you can't go around them. And they turned and started running straight at our van. And my mom was freaking out because we couldn't move. There's people behind us, people in front of us. But yeah, we had to also stop in traffic for a bunch of horses. So I totally feel you there. All right. So he says, I honked the horn. That didn't even faze them. So I opened the door and stood on the side rail and was about to yell at the horses when I accidentally hit the lights and turned on my brights. And that's when I noticed, oh dear God, what it was that scared the horses. It was roughly the size of a black bear, but hairless and abnormally thin. It walked on all 4s, and it moved pretty swiftly. When the brights came on, it seemed to have scared whatever the thing was, and it ran off into the tree line at the far end of the property. Seriously looked like a pale, white, hairless bear, but it wasn't. Fast forward about a year or so later, my sister and her family decided to surprise us by getting there before us. But we were running extremely late. Oh my gosh, I can relate to all these listeners. And didn't get there till nearly 11 p.m. Same as my girlfriend's house and my cabin, my grandma's house was far back out in the hollow off a dirt road. Okay, clearly you're not from the Midwest because it would have been holler. We don't do hollows, it's hollers. 3 houses at most on a dirt road, and it was around 5 miles long, so no one was even slightly near us. There was a little wooden bridge that ran over a tiny creek, also could have been crick, that was directly across the street from my grandma's house that had a really old house that was no longer occupied. It was my great-grandparents' house where my grandma lived and had grown up. Okay, my sister parked her van on the little bridge across the street because it was obscured by some trees. Well, my brother-in-law asked me to go move the van to my grandma's property line now that the surprise visit was completed. I didn't even think about anything spooky happening because I was in good spirits seeing my sister and my favorite niece. So I grabbed the keys and walked outside, and one of my grandma's dogs, they were wild dogs that just liked the grandma. So basically, there's just like outside dogs that only liked grandma. That's pretty funny. A really, really pretty snow white dog that resembled a really large Labrador decided to walk with me, but halfway across the street, the dog started acting weird, not wanting to cross the road with me, and was actively trying to get me not to cross the bridge either. No barking or anything, but whimpering and trying to pull me back towards my grandma's house.
See, if an animal's telling you something, listen to it.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, no matter how odd you think it is, just friggin' listen to an animal. They know so much more than us.
Exactly,
So.
100%. Like, this is pretty cool. And it was like Snow White. To the little bridge and tried to unlock the van door. It wouldn't work. And Marshmallow, the dog, that is awesome, went back to my grandma's. So I was 100% alone. So I sat there for a minute, messing with the keys to try to unlock it manually, when directly from behind me, I heard a bunch of rustling in the bushes that ran along the small side of the creek. I freaked out and turned around instantly to see the creature again. It was the same thing that I had saw years before, but a lot smaller. I don't think it was the same one, but I freaked out, left the van there, ran back inside, told them I'm not going to move that thing until morning because there's some kind of animal in the creek. Well, my brother-in-law says to me, yeah, I heard something over there by the house when I parked there earlier, but I wasn't about to go back and do it. Thanks, Anthony. Send the teenager to get eaten by a rabid bear dog thing. That's perfect. It's been 10 years since I've been back there. Still to this day, I do not know what that thing was, but whatever it was, it definitely wasn't the only one that calls that area home. The area where all this took place hasn't changed much since then, as small rural towns tend to stay the same. I won't give the name of the town, but as I said, it's in southern Colorado, 30 miles or so from Alamosa. Thank you for taking the time to read this story. You're more than welcome to share it and the story as well. Well, good, because I am. And if you have any questions about the story or the area or whatnot, I'm more than welcome to message them. So that was crazy.
So I wonder if the animal's offspring is now...
That's what I'm thinking.
Continuing either the family or just him.
At least one
like
of them.
watching over him.
We said it was a few years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they had multiple. Maybe it's a really long gestational period. I don't know. I mean, what? Elephants are pregnant for like a year, right? I
don't know, but every animal is so different. I mean, bunnies are like a month or something. I don't even know. Cats are like short. So this animal could have, they can grow at different rates or...
True, because I'm pretty certain that if not all elephants, and there's at least one subspecies of elephant, and it stays pregnant for basically a whole year, which would be hell.
Thing.
Yeah.
Poor
I mean,
thing.
well, you got to think. So I actually learned something interesting about bugs. I have no idea why this popped in my head. So these cicadas, there's different types, and there's like this big boom of cicadas like around my area. And basically what happens is they're only out for like 6 to 8 weeks. So the cicadas come out of the ground, and for 6 to 8 weeks, they make their way and attach themselves to the tree. So they go to the tree and they, shed those nice little shells you find everywhere.
So
gross. The females go and they find twigs and stuff, spaces that are specific diameters to scratch their way through, and they plant their eggs. Then the other one's fertile, whatever, they make their little thingies and they turn into these like bugs. And then these bugs grow in the 6 to 8 week period until they fall onto the ground and they burrow into the ground. Then for 17 years, or well, depending on which one is 13 or 17 years, these things eat basically the nourishment from the roots of the trees underground until after 17 years, they come up just to do the same thing for 6 to 8 weeks and then die. So you're alive for 17 years, but you're only outside for 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah.
That's so gross. I get that like nature has to have like this balance and this circle and everything, but I hate bugs.
I just learned about that on the way to Illinois a couple weeks ago. So
what's the cryptid that like isn't it Christmas, the goblins or something, they stay underground?
Oh, yes, you did.
I covered them too, and I forget, and then they come up like once a year or something.
Yeah, something about
the Tree of Life. I don't remember what they called though.
Yeah, they have to do something for so long and they're almost done, but they just are like, fuck it. And then they go up and then they have to start all over again. Yeah. Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
I forget what they're called, but yeah, that's what it kind of sounds like.
That's just really creepy to me. I don't know. I mean, are we in skinwalker territory? I mean, it is kind of in Colorado and there's a lot of those type of things, I guess, that are reported around there. Maybe it was a bear with the mange. I don't know how big a black bear is, but I would assume big. Actually, scratch that. I do know how big a black bear is because my uncle's got one stuffed. But he said it was really thin, so it wouldn't be a bear, right? Because bears are, I mean, fall, winter, the bear would be big because it would hibernate,
I don't
right?
think there's any time that a bear would be described as thin.
Well, I'm thinking if it had the mange and it lost its fur, it's kind of like a hairless cat. A cat can look huge, but it loses its fur and it looks gross. Looks like a saggy ball sack.
Yeah.
Or those
Chinese
crested dogs or whatever from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah.
Those things are ugly. So ugly.
She was like, hello. I love that movie so much.
So those are my stories that I got from the listeners. So again, everyone, thank you guys so much. Keep sending them in. If you've got anything, again, you can either send them through the contact form on the website. You can email them to me directly if you want to type them up. It's cryptidscreepsandconspiracy@gmail.com. All the links will be down there too, so you can find all that. If you want to do a voice thing to tell me about it, you can submit that too. It's whatever. I'm hoping to have enough to do another episode at least. I want to do it Christmas Eve so we can bring back the old tradition of scary ghost stories on Christmas Eve from, the old days.
Can I tell you the best listener story I got was basically a guy said that he had a ghost around his house and him and his wife were nervous because they've had the ghost for a long time. But then the ghost stopped doing things. He stopped like opening sodas and moving cups. And they were so worried about him, but he finally came back. And the ghost name is, they named him Ghost Malone. And he just like, I mean, there was more to it, but it was just so funny that they named him Ghost Malone. And they were so cute. They were so worried about the ghost not being there. They're like, where are you? Come back.
Some of mine do that. Like there's a lot of activity and they kind of just peter out.
In the next month or so, I'm going to be dropping a new podcast with Mike. That's what he wants to do. He wants to do an 80s, 90s podcast.
That's awesome.
So that will be dropping soon.
Well, if you need any guests, I love the 80s and I was in the 90s, so.
Yeah, I'm more about the 90s. He's a little bit older than me, so he's more 80s. Like I was a baby in the 80s.
I was still swimming in my daddy's nutsack in the 80s.
Oh.
Well, again, everybody, this is Melissa from Ouch, Was That a Ghost? And soon to be, do you have a name for your new one?
I was going to drop that later, so.
Oh, okay. keep watching Ouch, Was That a Ghost? And you'll find out what the new one is. But she's awesome. I've loved her. We've had her from the beginning. You're basically family at this point. And even my kid likes to check on you every now and then. He'll ask me how you're doing. He's like, how's that so lady doing you record with? So, but yeah, go check her out. Like, subscribe, share, whatever you guys need to do. Again, her links are going to be down in the description here as well. Pretty much sums it up. So I guess till next time, see ya.
Yeah, and be on the lookout for Natasha's merch.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy. If you wouldn't mind, please take a moment and rate and review the show wherever you're listening. I know it might not seem like much, but it greatly helps the show by allowing us to be found more easily when other listeners search for us. If you have a chance, head on over to www.patreon.com/Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy and become a patron. Members of the Big Show tier get bonus materials, personalized shout-outs, access to the private Discord server, and video versions of episodes, both regular and members only, that are raw and unedited. So they're always a good time. As an added thank you to the Big Show patrons, we also are going to be giving out custom stickers and mini prints after 3 months of membership. I'm currently offering a 7-day free trial, so head on over and see how awesome being a member can be. Before you go, click the link in the description and grab yourself or someone you know some of the self-designed merch, or make a donation to help keep the show going and fund future events and investigations. T-shirts, hoodies, stickers, and magnets can be found on the TeePublic site, and they have sales at least once a month. I believe it is 30 or 35% off. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly how much, but keep checking back and get them when they're discounts. They have $16 tees, and it's great. For handmade crochet items such as Nessie, Mothman, aliens, Fresno nightcrawlers, and the little ghost or a big ghost, as well as pants, swimwear, the best tumblers I have found yet as far as merch is concerned, dresses, office supplies, and more, visit the Square merch store. You can also follow the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Threads, and TikTok. If you have any questions, topic recommendations, or personal encounters, please don't hesitate to send them in to cryptidscreepsandconspiracy@gmail.com or submit them through the contact form at www.cryptidscreepsandconspiracy.com. I would love to hear from you and share your experience on a special listener episode. Just make sure to specify that I have permission to add your encounter to the show, and let me know whether you would like to have your real name or an alias to maintain confidentiality. Thank you again so much for all your support, and I'll see you next time, my friend.